And good morning, grade twos. Welcome to your English lesson for today, Thursday, the 2nd of July. So today you're going to be doing something a little bit different. You haven't done this before, but it's very good to do this. It's a real useful tool to be able to do this. It's an unprepared speech, which means it's a chance for you to talk about a topic and to be able to get your opinion across or what you want to say across to your audience. And it's very good to be able to talk in front of people. Some people get very nervous and they have a fear of talking in public. So if you can learn how to do this when you're young and to get the confidence to do it, then it will help you when you're an adult and even when you have a job when you're older. It's good to be able to talk in front of people. So I'm going to give you some tips today on telling you and showing you things that will help you so that you are prepared to do this. Okay. So when doing a prepared speech or unprepared speech, it is always good to be able to talk about a topic because it's easier then to know exactly what you want to say. So we're going to give you the topic today, and that is, if you could be an animal, which animal would you be? So you need to think of some good animals that you have in mind and to think why you would want to be that animal. So what are good things about the animal? These are called advantages, or maybe something that isn't very good, that's a disadvantage. But you are going to think of good reasons why you would choose that animal. Okay, so if I was looking at this lion on the screen and I said, okay, I would like to be a lion for a day, my advantage would be because I am the king of the jungle, really, and I am strong and most animals fear me, and I'm very independent and proud, and I look beautiful as well. So you're going to think of an animal and you are going to think of reasons why you are choosing that animal. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to do. Okay, so you know your topic now, and you've covered step 1, where you've decided what animal you would want to be, and you've also thought about step 2, why you chose this animal. Okay, so you might want to write down a few notes on your whiteboard or on a spare piece of paper, just to help you remember what you want to say, because remember, sometimes once you start talking, you forget things very easily because you get nervous or you can get distracted by things around you, and then you forget what you want to say and then you get all muddled up. So it's helpful to write down a few notes as you go along. Okay, so then we're on step 3, where you will say advantages and disadvantages of this animal. So maybe you could say, going back to the lion, I've said about all the good things. A bad thing about this animal is if I'm a male lion, I don't go and hunt for my food. I rely on the female lions to do the hunting. And so if I'm relying on female lions, and you find they're lazy and they're not really doing their job, I could get very hungry waiting for them to get their prey. So that could be a disadvantage, is obviously if you're a male lion. And an interesting fact, so you could say a baby lion is called a cub, okay, and when you have a whole lot of lions together, it is called a pride of lions. So that is a collection or a group of lions together. So then for step 4, that is your interesting fact. So you're going to tell me something you know or you've researched about the animal you've chosen. All right, so you're going to try and follow those 4 steps. Jot down a few notes on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper to help you remember. And that's the next part of your unprepared speech. Okay, so now let's put some time towards this unprepared speech. So unprepared means that you don't have a lot of time to get ready. Okay, you haven't prepared for it. So you are only going to have 5 minutes to start preparing what you want to say. So that's the part where I said to write down a few little notes. You only have 5 minutes to do all of that. Okay, so already in your mind, you should have decided what animal you're going to do, okay, and why you're choosing that animal, and some things to say about your animal, okay, your good reasons why. So you only have 5 minutes to do that, okay. So maybe someone at home can time you, or if you are at school, okay, you can look at the clock in your classroom and you've only got 5 minutes to write down what you want to say. Okay, once you have written down and decided on what you're going to say, you are going to start with your speech. So if you are at home, whoever's at home with you can record you on a phone or a video camera, even if you have one, or you can video on a iPad or a laptop. They're going to record you saying your speech. And you must try and talk for 1 minute about the topic. Okay, so about being an animal. 1 minute can be quite long, so it's quite helpful to talk slowly so that your time, isn't too long. If you are at school, then your teacher will call you up one by one, and you will then say your speech in front of the children in the classroom. All right, so that's not a lot of time, so plan it very carefully. So now I'm going to give you some tips on how to present an unprepared speech, or this could even work for a prepared speech, which means when you've had lots of time to get yourself ready. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, I was talking about people having a fear of public speaking. And it's actually called glossophobia, and that means when you get yourself all worked up and hot and bothered, and you have a fear of talking to others in front of an audience. And it's something that we can all overcome if we know how to do a speech correctly. So the first thing to do is just to stay calm. Okay, take nice deep breaths. Okay, get your breathing right. You don't want to feel like you're running out of breath, because then you panic even more. So just when you stand up, okay, you just compose yourself. You take a few deep breaths, okay, and you just stay nice and calm. So that's probably the first biggest lot of advice I will give you, because even myself, I don't enjoy talking in front of big groups of people. I also get nervous. But I think it's helpful, yeah, just to breathe and just take your time. So my next tip to you would be to just stand still. Okay, don't fidget. Keep your body nice and still. Okay, there's nothing worse when you are listening to someone talk and they're bouncing on the spot, or fiddling with their zip on their jacket, or playing with their hair or something. Okay, so try not to fidget with anything. It's very distracting for the audience if you do that. Stand nice and still on one spot, keeping your arms and legs still. Okay. You got to maintain your eye contact with the audience. So keep looking at the audience. Don't start looking up in the air and around and out the windows, okay, because they're going to lose your concentration as well. So just look at the audience, speak slowly and clearly so they can understand you, and also to vary your voice. Okay, that means make your voice higher or lower, louder and softer, so you're not just keeping your voice all in one tone, okay, because that can get people bored, and they will then switch off from what you're saying and not listen to you anymore. Okay, so those are very important tips to look at your audience. Okay, keep them interested in what you are saying, make your voice loud and interesting, and speak slowly and clearly. So the next tip I have for you is probably one of the hardest ones to do when you are young, because you feel quite nervous and you feel like you're going to forget what you want to say. So you end up reading the notes that you have made. Okay, then it's not a speech anymore, then it becomes a reading lesson. Okay, and that's not what your challenge or your activity is on. Okay, it's on how well you can speak in front of other children. So remember at the beginning I said you can write down a few ideas. Okay, that is just to keep your mind on what you want to say. Okay, it's not for you to read word for word off your paper or off your board. Okay, also people then try to cover up their mouth or their face because they get nervous and they feel like that's their way of protecting themselves, is by covering themselves up. And then it's very difficult for the audience to hear you because your mouth is covered and they can't see what you are saying. And also it takes away the volume of your voice because, you know, your mouth is being covered. Think about now when you are wearing masks over your face, you know, it is more difficult to hear someone when you are wearing a mask. So it's the same now when you're covering your face with your paper or your book or whatever you've written in. Okay, so very importantly, don't read your notes and don't cover your face. So my last tip to you is on how to captivate your audience. And captivate means how to grab the attention of your audience. Okay, you don't want them sitting there yawning and fidgeting because they're bored and they're just trying to stay awake. You want to see that they're fully engaged in what you are saying. So you've got to make it interesting for them. You've got to really get your audience involved. So if you can ask them a question or lighten up the mood a little bit, you know, tell them a joke to begin with or something, you know, it really gets the audience totally wrapped up in what you are saying. Okay, and that's always a very positive thing, because then at the end they will applaud you and they would have learned something from you, and then you will feel like you've done an amazing job, that you have taught them something, which is very rewarding. All right, so keep your audience engaged, okay? And by doing all of the steps and the tips that I've told you up to now, you will be able to do that with your audience, okay? So remember each one as you stand up and say your speech, think about everything you've learned now, okay? And just try your best. So now you're going to have your 5 minutes to think about what you want to say, and then you are going to start your unprepared speech. So you stand up, someone can film you, or if you're at school, your teacher will call you up, and you are going to use this very important lesson on how to say a speech. Good luck, enjoy it, don't be nervous, you've got this. And remember, this is going to help you for later in life when you're an adult. All right, have fun and we will chat soon. Bye.